The year 2008, a U.S. military base in the Middle East. Someone left USB drives full of malware in the parking lot near the base. A few soldiers found them. They were curious. They plugged them in. And at that exact moment, the largest military cyber attack in history began. Those USB drives infiltrated the U.S. Department of Defense's classified networks. For 14 months, nobody noticed. The operation was named Buckshot Yankee. Just one USB drive. Just one moment of curiosity, and the most secure network of an entire nation collapsed. So how does this happen on your own computer? Before we get into this video, if you haven't liked it yet, hit like, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe now. Because after this video, you'll never look at a USB drive on your desk the same way again. If you're ready, let's begin. USB drives are a part of our everyday lives. We carry files, we copy music, we transfer photos. But a USB drive, this small, seemingly innocent piece of plastic, is actually one of the most powerful physical attack tools that can completely take over a computer. Today, we'll show you how USB-based attacks actually work, which USB devices are dangerous, and how to protect yourself. And I promise you, after this video, you'll never plug in a random USB drive again. First, let's understand how a USB device communicates with the computer. When you plug in a USB drive, the computer asks it, "Who are you?" A normal USB drive replies, "I'm a storage device. I have files inside me." The computer trusts it. It recognizes the drive. It shows the files. But a malicious USB says, "I'm a keyboard." And the computer trusts it again, because the computer doesn't look inside the USB. It only looks at the answer to what it claims to be. And the keyboard can type anything into a computer. It can run any command. It can delete any file. It can steal any password. All of this within seconds. The most well-known tool for this attack, the Rubber Ducky. Yes, that's really its name. It looks like an ordinary USB drive, but inside it has a tiny microcontroller. The moment you plug it in, it tells the computer, "I'm a keyboard." The computer believes it, and within seconds, the Rubber Ducky automatically runs pre-programmed commands. So everything a human could type on a keyboard, the Rubber Ducky does much faster. For example, in 1 second, it opens the command line. In 2 seconds, it downloads malware. In 3 seconds, it installs a backdoor. Your computer is now compromised, and all you saw on screen was a brief flicker. The Rubber Ducky sells online for roughly $50 to $80. The price of a lunch is enough to take over a computer. The Rubber Ducky's more advanced sibling, BadUSB. In 2014, security researchers discovered something. The firmware inside USB drives, their core software, could be reprogrammed. What does this mean? You have what looks like a normal USB drive in your hand, with the manufacturer's logo, completely normal looking. But someone has altered its internal software. Now, when you plug it in, it can tell the computer, "I'm a keyboard," or "I'm a network adapter," and antivirus software can't detect it because antivirus software only looks at the files inside a USB. It doesn't look at the firmware. So a USB that looks completely clean can actually be entirely malicious. That's why USB security is far more complicated than you'd think. Now I'm going to tell you something even scarier. It's not just USB drives. USB cables can be dangerous too. There's a tool called the O.MG Cable. It looks like an ordinary charging cable, indistinguishable from an original Apple cable, but it has a tiny Wi-Fi module hidden inside. Here's how it works. You plug the cable into your computer. It looks like it's charging normally, but the cable is also connecting to a nearby Wi-Fi network. And the attacker from any device on that same network can send remote commands to your computer. Price? Roughly $150 to $200. Developed in 2019 by security researcher O.MG, this tool is now used by many security firms as a testing device. But in the wrong hands, it's also an extremely dangerous weapon. So now, you need to be suspicious not just of USB drives, but of every cable you plug in. Another USB attack. Juice jacking. Have you seen free USB charging stations at airports, cafes, or shopping malls? Those can actually be dangerous. A normal USB charging station only provides electricity, but a malicious charging station provides electricity while also establishing a data connection with your phone. The moment you connect, it can access the files on your phone. It can copy your photos. It can install malware. The FBI issued an official warning in 2023, quote, "Do not use public USB charging stations." Let's be honest about something. Some security experts think this threat is somewhat overstated relative to actual reported
isolated cases. But the risk is technically real, and taking precautions costs almost nothing. So what should you do instead? Use your own charging adapter and your own cable, or use a portable power bank, because a single USB port can offer you both power and a major security risk.
So how do attackers actually use these USB devices? There are three main methods. 1. The drop method. Just like I explained at the beginning, they leave USB drives in a targeted location, a parking lot, a cafe table, a company lobby. Someone curious plugs it in, and the attack begins. 2. The giveaway method, disguised as a promotional USB drive. It says free 32GB USB drive right on it, handed out at conferences, trade shows, or dropped in mailboxes. It looks harmless, but it's fully loaded. 3. The supply chain attack, the most sophisticated method. The USB's firmware is altered before it even leaves the factory, which means even a brand new, sealed product can be dangerous. This method is usually used in state-sponsored attacks. Now let's move on to how you protect yourself. 1. Never plug in a USB drive you found on the ground or from an unknown source. This is the most basic rule. No matter how curious you are, no matter how valuable it looks, if you really want to know what's on it, there are safe sandbox environments online. You can see its contents without ever physically plugging it into your computer. 2. Use a USB data blocker. This is a small adapter. It physically blocks the data pins of a USB cable. Only electricity passes through. So if you use this adapter at public charging stations, you're completely protected against juice jacking. Price $5 to $10. 3. Lock down USB ports. In companies or on sensitive computers, USB ports can be locked through software. When an unauthorized USB is plugged in, the system automatically rejects it. This feature is available on both Windows and Mac. 4. Be careful even with USB drives from people you trust. Your friend's USB drive might be infected without them even knowing. Nothing might happen when they plug it into their own computer, but it could cause very different results on your system. 5. Keep your antivirus software up to date. Bad USB attacks are hard to detect, but antivirus software can still block known malware. At the very least, it's an important layer of defense. 6. Use your own adapter instead of public charging stations. A small portable charger closes a major security gap. 7. Create a USB policy in corporate environments. If you run a company or work in IT, a USB usage policy is essential because a single employee plugging in one USB drive can put the entire company network at risk. And finally, let's talk about this. USB attacks can bring down not just individual computers, but entire government systems. Stuxnet, discovered in 2010, the most sophisticated cyber weapon in history, software that physically destroyed Iran's nuclear centrifuges. And how did this software reach its target system? Through a USB drive. It was an air-gapped system, not connected to the internet at all, but it got in through a USB drive. This clearly shows just how serious a threat USB attacks really are. If it can breach the security of a nuclear facility, imagine how easy it is for your home computer. To sum it up, USB drives look harmless, but in the wrong hands, they can be one of the most powerful attack tools there is. The one thing you should do today, never plug in an unknown USB drive again. It's that simple. This single habit could protect you from a major attack. Next time you find the USB drive on the street, leave it right where it is. Like this video. Subscribe. Next time, we're covering how deepfake scams work and how they've stolen millions of dollars. Don't miss it.